Hi, this is Matt from Low Spec Action Squad, and this is the GTX 660 2GB version that's in the sleeper PC that I'm building. Unfortunately, during some of my testing, I noticed that it was getting up to 100 and sometimes even higher than 100 degrees, which is not really something that you want with your graphics card, especially when it begins to thermal throttle. So, I've got some Arctic Silver 5 here, and we are going to replace the thermal compound. For the most part, it doesn't really matter in what order you pull these screws off, with the exception of 4 of them. That's these 4 here, but I'll get to those last. So these outer ones, it doesn't matter, just make sure to keep them within sight. They do like to run away from you. The reason that these 4 matter is these 4 are right around the actual die area itself. So these ones you want to loosen in a star pattern. Some graphics cards will have more than 4. Then you can start taking them off. Once again, following that same pattern. Now, on this particular card, I do not think that I need to take this screw off here, so I'm not going to. Now I just need to have a quick look at this. Can't see it from here. There is a fan power connector. I don't remember where exactly on the board it is, but I think it's towards the rear, so I'm going to be very careful when I ease this up. Okay, it is loose. Now let's see if I can find that power connector. If I can get this off. Come on. But it's catching on something. Aha! I do need to take this screw off. Okay. There we go. Now it should, yep, there we go. So there's the fan connector. You want to be very careful with this because if you break these wires, well, you're going to need to replace the whole thing, unless you have a soldering gun that small. So, with this, normally you'd grab some alcohol wipes or something like that, but we don't really have the budget for that at Low Spec Action Squad. So, if you give me just a moment, I didn't prepare this for the camera. We are going to use something that you aren't supposed to use, but in reality, it doesn't matter too much. Toilet paper. Paper towel will work just as well, as long as you are extremely careful with it. This stuff is actually not too bad because it's the really cheap kind that doesn't have a lot of fibers. But if you have triple ply, it'll leave fibers everywhere, so you want to be careful with that. Just gently, very gently, wipe across. Now I actually already had replaced the thermal compound on here before, but I cheaped out too much, and the stuff I used sucks. That is the real reason why we are doing this today. Sometimes cheap isn't a good thing. I want to get some of the spill off. Now the stuff that I used last time was not conductive, and neither is Arctic Silver 5. However, Arctic Silver 5 is slightly capacitive, so you don't necessarily want to have much spill off with it. I think that's the best I'm going to do with the stuff that I have. I'll just real quickly get the die area one more time. And that should be good enough. Alright. Unfortunately, the GTX 60 that I have has kind of a poorly designed cooler, and it doesn't make perfect contact with the GPU itself. there's a little tiny bit of gap, so we're going to use a little extra thermal paste. Just kind of squirt it on there. Now I know that I said we didn't want any spillover, so I'm trying to be relatively careful with that. Now the next thing we want to do is clean off the actual cold plate itself. Now you don't really have to be as careful with this because there's nothing electrically conductive on here. Not this area anyway. Now these are thermal pads. Ours are in pretty good condition, so we don't have to worry about them. But if your card is extremely old, such as something like this, then you might want to replace the pads, because they do age, and they age poorly. But these ones are okay. Now those ones make contact with the memory modules, and also the power delivery. Very important things to keep cool. But that's pretty much it. We don't have to apply anything to here, and the mounting pressure should naturally spread the thermal paste on the GPU die itself. So what we're going to do is reattach this fan. Let me make sure I'm putting it in the right way. Okay. That's very important because the pins are also kind of delicate and you don't want to force it in the wrong way. Now we're just going to go ahead and line it up. Plop it on in there. Trying to keep the wires aligned. Alright. So the first ones we're going to do are the ones around the contact area. Once again, we're just going to stick it in there. We're not going to tighten them down yet. Just a couple turns to get them seated. Once they're seated, you want to make sure to go in that star pattern. Then you can begin tightening it up a turn or two at a time until you've tightened all the way. Now this is especially important on graphics cards like the newer ones because the die itself is exposed. If you tighten them out of order, you can actually chip or crack the die, which is a fast way to a dead GPU. And once again, these outer ones, they don't matter if you do them in any particular order. You can just plop them on in there. No big deal. And before I forget, because I know myself, I'm going to put that one in. Alrighty. Now Arctic Silver 5 is a heck of a lot better than what I used last time, so we shouldn't be seeing any more 100 plus degrees at full load anymore. But we will see. Either way, that is how you replace the thermal paste on pretty much any graphics card on the market. You'll be hard pressed to find one that doesn't work like that. And that's pretty much it. This is Matt from Low Spec Action Squad, signing out.